Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be diving into the world of Maysalward.
Maysalward.
Yeah, they are a mobile gaming studio that's been a real pioneer in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And we've got some really fantastic material here.
Yeah.
And it's all from their perspective.
Absolutely.
So we're getting like a firsthand look
Yeah.
at their incredible journey.
It's fascinating. It's not just their story, though. I
Yeah.
think what makes this deep dive so interesting is that there are some really universal lessons
Oh, yeah.
about innovation and adaptation that we can extract from this.
For sure.
Stuff that applies whether you're in tech or any other field, really.
Absolutely. And that's what we love about the show.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to trace Maysalward's evolution from their humble beginnings with simple SMS games
All right.
all the way to, the culturally rich mobile experiences they're creating today.
Yeah. And this all started back in the early 2000s,
Oh, wow.
before smartphones were even a glimmer in anyone's eye.
I know, it's wild to think about.
Yeah.
They were already seeing the potential of mobile gaming
Mm-hmm.
when most people were still rocking those little Nokia brick phones.
Yeah, absolutely. And they didn't just dabble, they really embraced those early limitations.
Yeah.
They launched interactive SMS games, so things like Trivia and Hangman all played out through text messages.
Can you imagine? It's like a lost art form now.
I know.
Sending in your answers,
Yeah.
waiting for the next clue.
Totally different gaming experience.
Totally.
It
Wow.
was, and what's interesting is that they were already thinking about user engagement.
Right.
From the very beginning, those SMS games had multiplayer elements,
Wow.
which was pretty innovative for the time.
Yeah, they had this intuition about building a community
Yeah.
around their games even back then.
And that early adoption gave them a huge advantage.
Yeah.
It allowed them to establish a user base and build brand recognition long before the smartphone boom hit.
Oh, that's a brilliant insight.
Yeah,
They essentially had a head start
they did.
on the competition.
Yeah, big time. But as you can imagine, SMS technology had its limits.
Right. You can only do so much with text messages.
Exactly.
So how do they take things to the next level?
Well, that's where Java comes in,
Good.
specifically J2ME, which stands for Java 2 Micro Edition.
Got it.
Think of it as a slimmed-down version of Java,
Okay.
designed for the limited hardware of those early phones,
Okay.
feature phones as they were called.
So switching to J2ME allowed them to create more sophisticated games.
Absolutely. They could now work with graphics, have more complex game logic,
Wow.
and even develop games that could run on different phone models.
Okay.
This was a huge step forward.
So it wasn't just about the visual upgrade.
Yeah.
It sounds like J2ME gave them a lot more flexibility and control from a technical standpoint.
For sure, much more control.
Okay.
And this move also opened up opportunities to collaborate with international studios.
Now that's interesting. What kind of collaborations did they get involved in?
Well, one of the most notable was the localization of Spider-Man 2 for the Jordanian market.
Wow, that's a pretty big project.
Huge.
How did they approach adapting a game like that for a completely different cultural context?
It was a massive undertaking. I mean, they had to translate the dialogue, of course,
Right.
but it went way beyond that. They had to adapt the humor,
Right.
make sure the cultural references landed, and even modify some of the graphics to make sure they resonated with a Jordanian audience.
So it wasn't just about making the game playable in Arabic. They had to really understand the nuances of the culture.
Absolutely. Localization is about more than just language. It's about understanding the cultural context,
Yeah.
the values and the sensitivities of your target audience.
That's a great point. You can't just slap on a different language and expect it to connect.
Nope.
You have to make a real effort to make it feel relevant and authentic.
You do, and that's a principle that Maysalward really took to heart.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't enough for them to just localize games developed by others. They wanted to create their own games that were deeply rooted in their culture.
Wow. So they had this experience of adapting a global title for their local market.
Right.
And did that influence their approach to creating their own games? So they had this experience of adapting a global title for their local market.
Yeah.
And did that influence their approach to creating their own games?
Absolutely. It was like they had this aha moment, you know?
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
realized that they had this deep understanding of their own culture,
Yeah.
and they could leverage that to create something truly special.
Okay, so that's when they decided to shift their focus
Yeah,
to developing culturally relevant games.
exactly. And they started with Tala, a backgammon app.
Backgammon. That's interesting. Why backgammon specifically?
Well, you see, backgammon isn't just a game in the Middle East, it's a cultural institution.
Oh,
It's a game that people of all ages and backgrounds play.
okay.
And it's often a very social activity bringing people together.
So they were tapping into something that already had strong cultural significance?
Exactly. And it was a really smart move because it gave them an instant connection with their target audience.
Right.
They didn't have to spend time educating people about the rules or the appeal of the game.
Yeah.
It was already ingrained in their culture.
That's such a smart strategy.
It is.
It's like they built in this inherent familiarity and appeal by choosing a game that people already loved.
Absolutely. It's a lesson in understanding the power of cultural relevance.
Soda.
And Terla wasn't a one-off. They followed it up with Tricks, another popular card game in the region,
Okay.
further solidifying their commitment to creating games that resonated with their audience.
So they were building this portfolio of games that felt distinctly Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
That must have been a pretty unique selling point at the time.
It was. But, while their focus on cultural relevance was key to their early success, they didn't just rest on their laurels.
Right.
Remember those early SMS games with the multiplayer features?
Yeah.
That focus on user engagement has been a constant thread throughout their journey.
Okay, so even as they moved to more complex games, they never lost sight of the importance of building a community
Exactly.
around their products.
They establish a really active feedback loop with their players,
Wow.
constantly listening to suggestions,
Okay.
addressing concerns, and incorporating feedback into their development process.
It's like they were building a dialogue with their audience,
Yeah,
which is so important for building loyalty and trust.
absolutely. And it's something that any business in any industry can learn from.
For sure.
Engaging your users, making them feel heard, and incorporating their feedback can lead to a much stronger product and a more dedicated customer base.
It's about creating a sense of ownership, right?
Yeah.
Making people feel like they're a part of something.
Exactly. And it's something Maysalward has done incredibly well.
So we've talked about their early adoption of mobile tech,
Right.
their focus on cultural relevance,
Yes.
and their commitment to user engagement.
Mm-hmm.
But what about their evolution as a company? The mobile gaming landscape has changed so much over the years.
It has.
How have they managed to stay ahead of the curve?
That's where their adaptability comes in. They haven't been afraid to experiment, to try new things, and to embrace new technologies.
Yeah.
They started with SMS, then they mastered Java, and now they're creating sophisticated games for smartphones.
So they've had to constantly evolve their technical skills and their development processes.
Absolutely. And that's a critical lesson for anyone operating in a fast-paced industry.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get stuck in your ways. You have to be willing to learn new things,
Yeah.
to adapt to new challenges, and to constantly push yourself outside of your comfort zone.
It's like they've embraced this mindset of continuous learning and growth,
Yeah.
which is so important in today's world.
It really is. And it's not just about technical skills. It's about being open to new ideas, new ways of doing things, and new business models.
So it's a combination of technical expertise and strategic thinking.
Exactly. And it's this combination that's allowed them to not only survive, but to thrive in a highly competitive industry.
That's truly remarkable. They've managed to stay relevant and successful for over 2 decades,
Yeah.
which is a testament to their vision, their adaptability, and their commitment to their core values.
I think one of the most inspiring aspects of their journey is that they haven't lost sight of who they are.
Yeah.
Even as they've grown and evolved, they've stayed true to their commitment to creating culturally relevant, engaging gaming experiences.
It's like they've managed to strike this balance between innovation and authenticity,
Yeah,
which is pretty amazing.
it is. But they didn't do it alone. They were smart enough to recognize the power of collaboration.
Collaborations played a key role. Tell me more about that. Collaborations played a key role. Tell me more about that.
Well, remember how we talked about their work localizing Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
Those partnerships with international studios were really crucial for them.
So they weren't just learning about localization. They were also building relationships with other players in the industry.
Exactly. And those relationships opened up a world of opportunities for them.
Okay.
They were able to tap into new expertise, gain fresh perspectives,
Yeah.
and really accelerate their learning curve.
It makes you realize that even when you're a pioneer in your own market, there's still so much you can learn from collaborating with others.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we don't have to do everything alone.
Yeah.
Seeking out partners, mentors, and collaborators can really help us achieve so much more
Right.
than we ever could on our own.
It's like that old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Exactly. And Maysalward understood that their
Yeah.
collaborations weren't just about short-term gains.
Right.
They were about building long-term relationships that would help them grow and evolve as a company.
So looking back at their journey, it's clear that Maysalward's success wasn't just about being in the right place at the right time. It was about having the vision to see the potential of mobile gaming early on, the technical skills to bring their ideas to life, and the business savvy to adapt and evolve as the market changed.
And let's not forget their deep understanding of their audience and their commitment to creating those culturally relevant experiences.
Right.
That's been a constant thread throughout their story.
It's like all these pieces came together to create something truly special.
Yeah, it's a story that's both inspiring and instructive. It shows us that success isn't just about having a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
It's about having the tenacity to see it through the willingness to adapt and learn and the wisdom to collaborate with others.
I think what strikes me most about Maysalward is that they've managed to achieve all of this while staying true to their roots. They've never lost sight of their cultural identity or their commitment to their community.
That's a powerful testament to their values. And it's a reminder that success doesn't have to come at the expense of who you are.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Maysalward, what's one key takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think I'd say think about the parallels in your own field. What can you learn from Maysalward's approach to innovation and connecting with their audience?
Yeah.
What's your tala waiting to be created?
That's such a great question. What's that thing that taps into your audience's passions, solves a problem in a unique way, and truly resonates with their culture and values?
Right. It might be an innovative product, a new service,
Yeah.
or even just a fresh approach to an existing problem.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, it's out there waiting to be discovered.
And who knows, maybe your journey will be the next deep dive we explore.
I'd love that.
That would be awesome. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Maysalward. We'll be back soon with more fascinating stories and insightful lessons. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.